say all protocol observed. It is a privilege and honor coming from the Zimbabwe Republic Police Criminal Investigations Department to be part of this conference where we are looking at the matters of fraud. My name is Detective Assistant Inspector Muleya, coming from Commercial Crimes Division, Northern Region, that is, which is based in Harare. And with me, I've got Detective Sergeant Adira, who is the Public Relations Officer for Commercial Crimes Division, Southern Region. There isn't really much to talk about because the things that we are looking at here is the things that you already know. Fraud is a very common crime which happens perhaps to us every day. Maybe the magnitude of the loss is what differs. Research is saying in a lifetime, once in a lifetime, one will become a victim of fraud. So we are going to cover some of those aspects that, as you see there, the role of Commercial Crimes Division, the structure of CID, Commercial Crimes Division, the economic crime strengths. There's some scams in the real estate sector, card cloning, people are losing a lot of money there. I remember the recent case that I saw, I think it was involving someone losing around 14 million at once. Online banking scams, mobile money financial services scams, and online procurement scams. So all these things we need to understand, and perhaps some preventive measures that we need to implement or to take note of, so that we don't fall victim to some fraudsters. Fraud or crime is a big industry. As you plan in your business, criminals are also planning on how they can derive a benefit out of the profits that you have made or the profits that you are aiming to make. So, anyway, for the role of CID Commercial Crimes Division, is that enshrined in Section 93 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which is the section that establishes the Zimbabwe Republic Police. So as a unit, we are there to investigate serious crimes and complex crimes. By seriousness, we are saying we deal with the high value or with the very high cases that involves loss of big monies. You see, for smaller amounts, those are dealt with at station level or with the commercial crime unit and not Commercial Crimes Division. By serious, we also mean that these cases may include some prominent people. The value may be small involved, but maybe is a prominent person, prominent figure who has been defrauded. And by complex, we are simply saying the fraud is not an easy one. It requires some in-depth investigation in order to come up with a conviction or a fruitful investigation. As you would remember, we are now living in a cyber environment. So there's been a shift from the traditional way of committing crime to that of committing crime on cyberspace, where criminals or fraudsters are able to hide or conceal their identity. As business people, you remember that you can take this, you conduct business on, you have employed some social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp. You do your advertisements there. A hacker can simply get into your Twitter, WhatsApp, or Facebook handle, and then he creates a same platform as you have, same website, or a website, or a WhatsApp account, and then he starts to advertise, purporting to be you. So there is a lot of impersonation on these social platforms. And as people who are involved in supply chain, you also need to understand these things. They've got some complexities, and dealing with fraudsters on cybercrime is not all that easy, and those in business simply need to understand these things so that you take some preventive measures. Recovery is not always easy. So we should always endeavor to make some preventive measures. There was a presentation yesterday that I enjoyed, which was talking about fraud in the freight industry or freight sector. And the speaker talked about the need of visibility of the product, the need to continuously see the product that you are sending to be. So as a Commercial Crimes Division, at times from an awareness point of view, we come there just to remind you guys that of the things that you already know, that you are being hit hard. What are you doing about it? And because we come in to say these preventive measures can also assist. But what it boils at is the aspect that we as business have got a role to play in preventing fraud. So globally, fraud is a big challenge, is a very big problem. Some researchers have estimated that fraud and cyber-related crimes will cost the world over $10 trillion annually by 2025. So you see, this is a very big challenge, and as a nation, as Zimbabwe, we are not spared from this. What is happening elsewhere in the global village is happening also to us, because there are cases of fraud that are being reported each day. And of particular interest, I remember one story that was carried in the newspaper, in the Chronicle, where a fraudster was arrested in Bulawayo, having 68 active Zim switch cards. This is one fraudster. was having 68 active single switch cards. So this is the complexity of fraud. Imagine you'll be seated here, someone is enjoying your money elsewhere without knowing it. So there was also a research about the Australian Research Council. Fraud costs the Australian economy at least 3 billion annually. And they were saying the number of fraud are increasing. So you see, this is just to show that fraud is a big problem. Although maybe at this stage, statistics for the Zimbabwean case are variable. They are not variable for now. But I can tell you that fraud is becoming a very serious problem in Zimbabwe. Now, as I've alluded before, fraud is not something that is new. It's a very old profession. I think if some of you would go back to the Bible, ancient times, you meet two guys, Jacob and it's Jacob and Esau. Yes. One brother defrauding another. Jacob was stealing Esau's blessing. That is fraud. Yeah, so from that time up until now, it is only modification that is being done. Yes, so we are saying it involves basically some falsehoods, cheating, or misrepresentation. So we also criminalize the fraud as Zimbabwe, and our Zimbabwe Criminal Law Codification and Reform Act provides those definitions that are there. And one of the definitions says, any person who makes a misrepresentation intending to deceive another person or realizing that there is a real risk or possibility of deceiving another person, and B, intended to cause another person to act upon the misrepresentation to his or her prejudice, or realizing that there is a real risk or possibility that another person may act upon the misrepresentation to his or her prejudice. So that's the definition for fraud. So we are saying supply chain fraud refers to fraud that occurs at any stage of the supply chain. It can be at the initial stage or at the final stage. That's fraud, and it is real amongst us. So those are some of the examples that are there. Some kickbacks on raw material purchases, improper rebates, quality assurance fraud, improper use of production assets. You can, those have been provided for your information. We can go ahead. There are some drivers for fraud to be committed. I think this relates to some to estate agent scams that is to do with land. So the drivers are the scarcity of land for both residential and business uses, unoccupied land of diseased lying idle for a long time. We've got some pieces of land, maybe people are dead, no one is really taking care of that. So fraudsters take chances on those pieces of land to defraud people or innocent people. And even those of people who are in the diaspora, you see, they also take advantage of that. You see. So, and of course, The other drivers are ease of advertisement in the social media. You know, you can view the site of the stand while you are in the comfort of your home, on WhatsApp or on Facebook. You see. But what is surprising is that funny cases that are happening, that a person sees an advert, for example, for a house on Facebook, but then after viewing the house and being satisfied that they like the stand or the house, they immediately make payment without having gone to the physical site of the stand or the house. You see, so there are some of the things that we are worried about as the Z-therapy that people should, you know, be aware. I think those are the modus operandi. Connivance, issue to do with the connivance. You know, the victim is favored with fictitious titles, title deeds, and counsel sessions. So all this is available for your information. Perhaps this also concerned as the Z-therapy. When it comes to matters to do with card cloning, where people are failing to protect their financial details or personal information to do with their PIN numbers. You remember when we got into the COVID era, people were working from home. And sometimes there was a demand for a US dollar, so people would give their bank cards to the middlemen people with the advantage of knowing where one can swipe and get some US dollar in return. So during that time, I believe so many people's information was harvested. And that is the reason perhaps why people now are being hit hard by card cloners because they are in possession of the information. If you are here, you had given your card to someone else to swipe something for you. You are a potential victim. One day you may find yourself having your money being wiped from your account. So some drivers, of course, that there's something to do with some challenges, economic challenges facing the country, and the weaknesses in technology being used in the debit or the debit cards production. E.g., most people now are still using the magnetic strip cards, bank cards, not the cheap ones. So the magnetic ones, they are very easy to clone. Someone simply needs your account number. And you know how criminals are getting the information. Some when they go shopping, they care less about the receipt that is generated when you make a transaction. You do a transaction and just as you come out of the shop, you throw away your receipt. You know, from a POS machine. Those receipts have some first digits of the card and the last digits of the account. So card cloners just need those numbers and they are done. You may be surprised after 15 minutes of transacting, your money is already stolen. They can do it very fast once they get in possession of your account numbers. Some of the things, they just institute a PIN bypass, and then they begin to enjoy your money. So emerging technologies, you know, they are adding more problems or challenges to card cloning. Yes. Then, of course, the human factor in the security of information. You know, people are doing less to protect their information. People are doing less to protect their information. So we are saying, as you see later on preventive measures, that information is key and it should not get in the wrong hands. So criminals use a number of, in card cloning, they use a number of things, especially in the shops. When you go shopping, you see, you should always remember that these fraudsters who are card cloners, they can connive with some cashiers or some till operators in the shop. They are running some agents. So you should ensure that your card, when you are swiping, does not take a long time in the hands of a till operator, lest they can master your account number and the PIN. And you remember some people, when they are entering their PIN on that POS machine, they don't even shield their PIN. You see, so it will be in view of other people. So at that stage, it's very easy to harvest information in relation to cases of card cloning. Of course, there are some things that they use, such as use of hidden or secret cameras to harvest the information. Yes, and there's also what we call shoulder safing. Thank God for the COVID-19 measures. That has to do with the 1 meter distance in the shops. 1 meter distance in the shops. But some, they are even ignoring that. It is also a preventive measure when it comes to issues of fraud. Apart from health matters, it can go a long way, that 1 meter distancing, you see. But you find you are in the shop, someone comes and says, he just comes very close to you. He says, no, my friend, can you observe that? He says, no, I've got no COVID-19. Please, you should be very careful with those people. They are just there to make sure they place themselves very close to you and see whatever you are doing. So once they get your particulars or your details, you are done. They clone you. Let's go ahead. Those are some of the preventive measures. Yes. You should ensure that debit cards are not taken out of sight when transaction. You should ensure that PIN is not exposed to anyone. You should have such things as feedback systems in place where you're making an arrangement with your bank, so that whatever transaction is done or performed on an account, you get some form of feedback to say such amount has been deducted, or you performed a transaction with so much money. Some people don't, they care less about the feedback system. You see, only to be surprised maybe when they check the balance, they found millions have been wiped away. So you should also regularly monitor and reconcile bank statements. Perhaps you also need to go for the EMV, system that provides for the chip and PIN. You should also promptly report matters of card cloning instances to the police. Some people, I don't know what happens with them. They are cloned, maybe because of reputation. I know, guys, some of you are big guys. When you are cloned, what comes in your mind is that you become shy to go and report to the police. So there are so many cases that the police might not be aware of that involve big people who are shy to come forward to say, I have been cloned. Some may be companies because of reputation, you are afraid that once I expose this fraud, I may scare my clients in the supply chain. We can go ahead. That's about online banking. Yes, adoption of those social platforms in conduction of business, but we need to understand that they are inherent with some risks. So just need to be very careful when you are doing online business. We can go ahead. Yeah, that's the modus operandi. Those are preventive measures that you need to consider when you are performing online banking. This is not, these measures are not, these are just few of the measures that you need to implement so that you don't fall victim to fraud. We can go ahead. That's about mobile financial services come. Of late, there have been a lot of scams involving WhatsApp advance fraud. You see, I know people, many people are on various WhatsApp groups, and a friend will just see someone reporting to be a member of the group will just send a message on the WhatsApp group to say, I'm in possession of RTGs. Anyone who wants some US dollar, please inbox. So the inbox now has become a slaughterhouse. You go there, you see, you go there, you are done. You see, so that is about mobile financial transactions. They've got to do with transactions that are performed on our mobile phones. And this is to do with some WhatsApp advance fee fraud. But the drivers are there, which are there because bulk money now is being kept in mobile phones. You may keep $1 million in Eco Cash. You see. But once you are hacked, you are done. Bulk transactions are now performed on mobile phone. So it's a motivating factor to the fraudsters. These factors are motivating factors. And there's also some weaknesses in the registration system, of SIM cards and mobile money accounts by service providers. You see, once your line is hacked, a criminal can, within a short period of time, go and register, and have another line replacement, and he begins to enjoy your money. So those are some of the challenges that we are faced with and that you need to understand. Perhaps deviating a bit from this one now, I think this one you also need to understand. Is the Commercial Crimes Division, we are also involved in the investigation of cases of money laundering. We say when a criminal or a fraudster steals your money, large sums of money, that money is laundered. What is money laundering? I think most of us already know. It is to do with the washing of dirty money. You try to make it legitimate. You see, so we are saying, as the Commercial Crimes Division, for every predicate offense, such as fraud, there should be a charge of money laundering that should be also instituted. So you are charged for fraud, you are also charged for money laundering. The money laundering, to ensure that money that has been stolen is recovered. It is there to ensure that the criminal does not benefit anything. So I won't go into much details because I'm summarizing. I won't go into much details of other things that are concerned when we look at money laundering. Now it's not on this slide, don't worry. Yes. But I'll just make a brief summary. It's just meant to make sure that the criminal does not benefit. And as a result, we have now within our criminal investigation department the AFS, or Asset Forfeiture Unit, which is more of a civil unit, meant to investigate and institute civil proceedings so that whatever the criminal benefited is recovered. So in this process, in the investigations, it doesn't matter whether the criminal has been convicted on fraud in money laundering. Some are non-criminal, have non-conviction. As long as there is sufficient evidence that a person laundered some money, a person does not have a clear explanation on how they amassed a lot of wealth, investigations may be instituted, which we call them parallel financial investigations. So if you are here, perhaps you built a big supermarket. I'm just giving an example. You are here, you built a supermarket, but you cannot explain to the police or to anyone on how you raised the money to build or to start a supermarket. That becomes of concern under the asset recovery process right now in Zimbabwe. Be it a machine that one might have good for themselves, as long as they cannot explain how they generated the money that resulted in the purchase or the building of that machine, that house or property can be subject to recovery until one explains the source of money. So this is what is there. So when you see yourself sometime being maybe favored with an order, confiscation order of any property, you should understand that this is the process that I'm talking about. Investigators are already there, and that is the Asset Forfeiture Unit that is conducting parallel financial investigations and the issues to do with money laundering. I think, in brief, that's what we had on fraud and money laundering and asset recovery. That has to do with the Asset Forfeiture Unit in the recovery of ill-gotten proceeds of crime. Thank you.
That was quite a presentation. Any questions for the detectives? Yes, Mr. Lloyd.
All right, I just wanted to find out from detective how you classify miracle money. whether it's fraud, or does it warrant what you said will trigger investigations? So I wake up tomorrow, I've got 20 billion in my account. I do the supermarket and you come to me and I tell you, look, I've been praying and I found this money in your pocket.
is real, as you are saying, it's a miracle. Perhaps, I would classify that as it's just fraud. You see, because many people have talked about miracle money. We have heard later that there were some gimmicks that were being played just to make someone maybe congregate to believe that a certain man of God has powers to make someone rich. So it's neither here or there. It's just pure fraud.
I'm sure, Mr. Lloyd, you've been answered.
Yes.
Detective, before you sit down, you've got another question from Bethel.
Detective, I want to pose a question for me in terms of the catch and the release issues. What's your comment? They're saying people are arrested, newspapers write a lot of stories about fraud involving quite a number of people. And the question is, why is it that conviction rate is low?
The police and the Commercial Crimes Division, we investigate to arrest. And once we arrest the offender and we are satisfied that the accused person has got a prima facie case, we take the accused to the courts for trial. As you might well know that when an accused person is taken to court, it's either he may be convicted. They may be convicted or they may be acquitted. And the acquittal at times may be technical. So maybe the long and short of it, I say, would be to say, for us as the police, we don't release criminals. We arrest, we take them to court for further processes until they are found guilty or they are not found guilty. Thank you.
Well answered. They don't release criminals. We have got another question. Yes, sir.
But, well, judging by what you're saying, that means the courts actually then release the people.
No, I don't say the court releases the people.
But they acquit them. So in some...
No, I don't say the court releases the people.
But they acquit that is acquitted them. And yet the courts are then saying it's the detectives who bring us the dockets. So the dockets, it's either, something is happening. Because either the docket is inadequate or, I don't know if you're getting the drift of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm reading.
Yeah.
As police, we don't release people. Yes, as you correctly said, that perhaps maybe a docket may be poorly, but have been poorly been prepared. Yes, I'm sure such kind of things, they do happen sometimes. They do happen sometimes. Yes. But the bottom line is that we, as the police, we endeavor to ensure that we get all the evidence against the criminal. At times we may not be able to get all the evidence of about the criminal, either because the complainants also may not come up well in helping the police. So as police, we work with people, and you are our major stakeholders. So for us to have a docket with all the evidence and so what is that when we come to you for some information, please help us so that we have a prosecutable case. Thank you. Okay, my friend of mine wants to add something.
Thank you very much. During his presentation, Mr. Auditor mentioned something very, very important. He said the audit itself, when it was referred to the NASAMED, the audit was not properly prepared. Now, such audits, they are brought to police to say, now can you compile a docket for court? definitely that case would be lost. Holders in the criminal justice system, you have to know that. The court, the NPA, they've got their expectations. So as police, we would actually, we don't manufacture evidence, but we gather. For example, we may require an audit report, then it comes like the one my friend was talking about. Then we cannot perform a miracle at such a matter.
In terms of fraud cases that are perpetually postponed to the extent that they naturally they die more like a natural death. The case postponed after 5 years, then all of a sudden it just goes quiet. We can't tell whether someone was acquitted or the docket were lost or evidence was destroyed, but the case simply dies a natural death. I'm actually wondering what transpires. How do you close off your dockets?
Does not relate to the issue of closing the dockets. But let me say, when you've got a case before the court, you should have interest. You can visit your prosecutor to find out what is happening. You see? So in some situations, your concern is also our concern, the police. And perhaps we cannot comment on behalf of the courts with regards to the postponement of the matters. That question needs to be answered by them. But when it comes to your concern, it is also a concern because we stand for the complaints. And when you take someone to court, our desire is that we see the matter being finalized.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shelton. Ryan, your hand was up.
Yes. I wanted to ask the CID Commercial Crimes Unit at ZAC. Do you work together or do you hand over? Which starts? Are there cases where ZAC starts and then hands over to you, or you start and then hand over to ZAC?
Okay. We have got some connections. ZAC can arrest some offenders because they are also involved in the investigation. They also track some accused persons and so on. But the police, you may find that maybe what the accused person that has been arrested by ZAC, the docket is with the police, is with us. So once such a scenario happens, there should be some communication between us and ZAC. Where ZAC does the docket, then it will go for you to be requested from us to ZAC. You see, or ZAC has got to give us the accused. He has to communicate with us. We have the accused persons with the dockets that we are having, and then we prepare for court. I'm sure I was that. Yes. So there is a relationship that is. There is a lot of communication between us and ZAC. Yes.
Thank you so much. Inspector, I think you actually need to have a conference.
Okay.
Because from what I'm seeing, people have got a lot of questions.
Yes.
That needs to be addressed between the courts and the police as well. There is quite much that is happening, I think, even in our work areas and even in our own social lives, that people need to understand how do things really work and how do they operate, and when one gets arrested, what then happens. Sometimes people don't get assistance from the prosecutors, like you're saying. Some, they actually go to the courts and they only told that, your case was cold already, but they never had anything being done. So I think as ZRP, you may need to also educate how you do your stuff and how is the case being closed and how it operates. I think it's very important. Mr. Becker, your hand was up.
Yes, I just wanted to add to the answer relating to this question. Why some cases may seem to be dying and dying. Let's not forget that some of these people were presented by legal practitioners. Legal practitioners have got all devices of delaying a case and making sure that it dies a natural death. He will come in today and say this and that. Tomorrow will say I'm going on leave. Tomorrow will say this and that. And that will be within their rights. So you cannot actually say, okay, let's fast track this case. So that is also part and parcel of why you see some cases dying or looking to be dying.
In effect, there are many factors.
But I have a question. You said you don't release criminals. So why do you wait for a case to die? Because that's your duty to make sure it doesn't die. It doesn't die a natural death because you know it's a criminal. I'm not saying they are, from his point, the person hasn't been defended, but it's someone who's just procrastinating up until there is death of a story. So why as the therapy do we let the story to die just a natural death, just like that?
I'm not quite sure that question is properly directed to the right people. In the criminal justice system, which involves some other players, there is a chain. There is a supply chain. Yes. There comes a complaint. You make a report. Right? We take over the case, we investigate. When we are done with the investigations, we hand over to someone else. So if you ask me a question about the person whom I gave the matter to handle, to finalize, to answer for them, it becomes a challenge to me. unless if they are around and answer for themselves, they say, okay, what has caused us delays in proceeding? Because that is why I'm saying maybe that question is being directed to the wrong people. What we do when a report is made, we hunt for a criminal. We do all our investigations. Once we arrest the criminal, we prepare a docket. Once the docket is prepared, we take the criminal and the docket to the courts to proceed with the chain. Yes.
All right, no inside with the chat.
Yes, I also want Part A goes to the police and says somebody has stolen my money. Party B has stolen my money. In those instances, you notice they are just unfair contracts because you would have signed a contract, and it becomes a civil matter where you have to go and get redress in the courts without the involvement of ZRP, because the institution of ZRP investigates criminal offenses. So if they don't find a crime in say a transaction, there is a contract which says you're supposed to pay $50,000 to this guy, and it's there in black and white. What you have to fight for is the redress in the civil court. Approach the civil court. I think this contract was unfair, and I wasn't thinking properly when I signed it. Then you can get redress. You have seen that issue of an institution getting solar panels and people saying there was theft, but there was a contract in place. And that does not constitute a commercial crime per se, but it's just an unfair contract. I answered my colleague.
Thank you so much, Brian.
And I also want to say, this is part of what is called small print. If you come to Juarez, I always refer to Juarez. Those small print which, when you go and complain, they will refer you and say, did you read this part? You see, those are unfair contracts that people would have signed for.
Thank you so much.
And the resources which we have, which appear to be constrained, I think you're doing a splendid job. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any other questions, contributions to the inspector?
I think, like I said, I spent quite a bit of my time in South Africa, and we deal with your counterparts in South Africa.
Okay.
I think it's commendable how our guys here follow issues through, and I know we want to accuse them of a case disappearing, but in South Africa it's atrocious, you know. An issue disappears 3, 4, 5 days after it's reported. But you guys, you actually follow it up, and we feel safer.
Thank you.
You guys, so you
Yes.
need to hear that.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to add something. You guys, you are our stakeholders. So which means whatever we are doing it. We are investigating, getting some help or some collaboration from you. You see. I once saw this for those who drink castle. There's somewhere it is written, it is you who makes castle great. Yes, so maybe I want to borrow from that to say it is you guys who make the policy great. It is you guys who make our investigations to be successful as we collaborate more and more in the matters of fighting crime. Thank you. Maybe on another note, the one speaking is a public educator. I don't know, people here who have met me, not for the first time. We have seen me somewhere. TV, okay.
Sunday, man.
Sunday Mail. Someone else?
Some other conference.
Trade fair.
Trade fair. Okay, yes. So, yeah. I'm also a contributor in the Herald. Since June last year, I've been contributing weekly on the matters of fraud, where I talk about fraud and cybercrime. So check for that. There's a column that goes by the title Fraud Insight. We'll interact there more and more. Thank you.